Hey, all you Arizona lovers. This is the Finding Arizona podcast, episode number 366. I'm your host, Jose. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Today's episode is with a photographer by the name of Bayley Jordan. We're so excited to have her on the show, on top of which we have a lot more things going on with us. I'd like to give you a little insight. Our new sponsor is Atlas Bars. If you type in the code BRITSTER_, and I'll type in all the info in the bio links like all of our episodes, you will get 10% off on your order. Let me just say we're very excited to share this with you guys because it's something that we're looking into as doing more with our podcast and sharing you guys with some great products. So if you have something that you want to share, or you want to give us a discount code so that we can give it to our wonderful listeners, we're happy to have you. Send us a line at findingarizonapodcast@gmail.com. You can also check out every episode at www.findingarizonapodcast.com, on top of which all social media is Finding Arizona Podcast. That's Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. As always, we want to make sure that you guys are getting the best into our doors so that we can share with you guys their stories. But everything's been going great so far. We want to share with you Bayley's information. We'll always link that in the bio below, along with the discount codes and everything else. Everything has been just on par, something we've been working very hard behind the scenes to get new things going on. Britt's been doing a lot of vlog editing. She's been doing a lot more with the kind of blog and vlog situation. So check that out over at youtube.com/Finding Arizona Podcast. And as always, we are going to jump right into this episode. And this is episode number 366 with Bayley Jordan, photography. We will catch you on the next one. And as always, kisses, hugs, and belly rubs. See ya.
Is a no woman.
She's ambitious.
She is a juggling life.
Oh, she is high performing.
She's self-made.
Definitely busy.
Woman supporter.
Cares about the rooms that she's going into.
Building an empire.
Definitely working in a male-dominated industry.
She is competitive.
And cares about impact.
And she's inspired by the word no.
Oh, completely relentless.
She is self-made.
She is a badass.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Finding Arizona Podcast. I'm your host, Jose. As always, we bring in fantastic guests, and we actually just had a photo shoot with this wonderful person. I'm going to let her introduce herself, and she's a photographer, and probably we're going to learn a little bit more about you. You probably have some more things under your belt, but go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone.
Hi, I'm Bayley Jordan of Bayley Jordan Photography. I'm an owner and photographer for my business, so it's great to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being a part of this. This is something that is kind of new to us, where we try and do something with the person and try and do their actual profession while simultaneously having a podcast. Well, not simultaneously, but we do it and then we go into actually doing a recording. So it was fun for us.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Just behind the scenes for those of you who don't know how to or don't know how photo shoots, sometimes they're in the golden hour, sort of.
Yes, so the best lighting is typically the hour after sunrise or the hour before sunset. That's what they call the golden hour, when the light is really soft and pretty, and it's the best for portraits, really. So we like to schedule during that time. So
yes.
Thanks for getting up early and doing that with me.
Absolutely. We wouldn't have it any other way, because I think we're more of a morning group than we are a nighttime group.
Yeah, well, especially down here in Phoenix, it gets a lot hotter, so yep. I think that was a smart choice.
Absolutely. So just a little bit of we asked this question of everyone, and we were talking about this a little bit off air. How did photography develop in your life? You see how I did that?
That was amazing. Oh my gosh. Well, I started taking a couple classes in college, actually. I was going to NAU, took a few classes through NAU and through the community college up there, actually. And nice. I just really fell in love with it. It was a lot of fun. It was a good creative outlet. As I started getting into it a little bit more, I started to have friends and family just, hey, can you do some portraits for me? And I was like, of course, that'd be really fun to try. Like, why not?
Yeah.
And then it just kind of slowly developed from there. I just had more and more people start to ask. It turned more into a part-time thing and then eventually more full-time. So it just kind of was a natural development that was kind of a creative outlet at first, but then it turned into a business slowly. So it's really cool.
I love that, Bailey. I mean, it's just one of those things that we kind of start to hear more and more through different stories with our podcast is the different types of scenarios of how the business or whatever they do comes into their lives. And so that's definitely one of them, is just slowly a curiosity builds and builds. Just like my own kind of podcast, what we do here is like, I was curious, and then it started to snowball effect into the world. That's
exactly what happened. Like, I always liked taking travel photos on trips and things, did some family photos while we were doing that a lot too. So that's what originally sparked, and I was like, well, maybe I should take a couple classes and see if I like it. Yeah. So it worked out well.
Well, let me ask you this. I actually wanted to kind of pivot towards the pandemic and just kind of, it's affected everyone. And I always ask this because it did affect everyone, but what did you do or what happened during the pandemic for you? I don't know if photography took a dip or if it kind of rose. What happened?
It took a little bit of a dip for everybody, I think. It really kind of depended on your specialty a little bit too, because working outdoors, it gives you a little more freedom during that time because you can still space out. I would wear a mask if people would like, because you want to stay safe for everybody, and they're feeling more comfortable that way. It did kind of slow. Yeah. There were ways to work around it. I know a lot of photographers were doing like outside of home shoots, so they'd feature people's houses and just do it on the porch. Like people made it work.
Yeah.
I had a lot of really great clients that still wanted family photos during that time, and like portraits for business, everything, senior photos, all of that was still going on.
Good.
So everybody just made it work however was most comfortable for our clients and for us as the business owners too.
That's so wonderful. I so like, and because I'm intrigued about this kind of lifestyle of like, how does one kind of pivot? And that's one of the things that it's really unique to every aspect of a job, is that you can find a silver lining in a sort of way.
Definitely.
Just like through this hard time of like really negative things going on in the world, but it's like something somewhere down the line you can see is like people are trying very hard to stay afloat. And so that's really great that you were able to make that happen, and you had such wonderful clients that were open to it.
Yeah, everybody was really flexible in terms of rescheduling too, because there were some people who were more comfortable rescheduling, so we would just hold off until they were feeling more comfortable to get those photo sessions in still. But we just made it work however we could for everybody, really. So you have to be flexible as a business owner anyway, and it was a unique situation, but it worked out all right.
Oh, awesome. So let me ask you this about Flagstaff. It's a very unique area, and it's also, we were talking about this off air as well, it's kind of a fluctuating population where the university helps influx the population, but for you as a resident, what is your favorite part about having a photography business there in that specific area?
Oh, man. I mean, Flagstaff is such a great tourist town, too. Like, with the university, it does pull a lot of that student group in, which is great. They're all exploring the area for the first time, being new students. Yeah. It's great to kind of work as a local expert, I guess, of the area, I would say, to show people around, especially during those photo sessions. I can show them some of my favorite areas.
Nice.
And then the tourists who are coming to town for the first time, a lot of them are going to the Grand Canyon or Sedona, but they're making a stop in town. So it's really great to connect with those people and kind of give them recommendations on what to do in the local area. I'll go to Sedona and do shoots for those people. I'll go to the Grand Canyon and do shoots for those people. It's really nice to connect and like learn why they're there. A lot of them are really cool, fun trips for the first time, seeing the national park or Sedona or Flagstaff for the first time. And it's great to see what pulls them into that area and hear their stories too. I really like to connect with my clients that way and help them however possible if they need tips on what to do.
Now that you've brought up like being able to travel and kind of make your experience unique, I now want to know a little bit more of like your favorite, like not local, but like travel spots that you like to go to, because I know off the top of my head, there's that Flintstone Park.
Yes, that is so fun. I've never done a photo shoot there, but totally man, I loved seeing that as a kid, especially our parents would take us out there. That was always a highlight when you're going in that area.
Yes, so, I love that area.
It's so unique too. You're not expecting to see something like that out there, and all of a sudden,
just out of the blue, there's this dinosaur.
Gosh, that is too fun. Yeah.
But yeah, like, is there like a favorite spot that you like to travel to, maybe for a unique shot?
Oh, somewhere I do really like to go lately is Strawberry, actually.
Nice.
It's
okay.
a little bit off the beaten path. It feels like not as many people tend to go there as the Grand Canyon or Sedona, but there's a lot of really pretty wood areas around there, and like there's some really cute cabins down there that I like to stay at. So
You already got the inside.
yeah,
scoop.
you kind of, that's what's so fun about being a photographer, honestly. You kind of just make excuses to go places and check them out and see what's cool. You're like, oh, I could take clients here someday.
Yeah.
And it's just fun to get out and explore the state a little bit more for me. That's what's great about photography. It really gives you an excuse to go check out new areas. So it's a lot of fun.
And now you're traveling down here a little bit because you were telling me you have family and stuff like that.
Yeah, I
down
have
here.
family down here. My sister lives down here. My
Oh,
grandparents live
nice.
down here. So I come down here all the time to see them. And then I schedule shoots as I'm down here too.
Oh, very cool. And we're a part of that now.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
that was so much fun this morning. Thanks again for having me do that too.
I particularly like some spots around here, and I'll tell you off air about it, but I would love to hear from you as you've come down south further and further. Where do you find yourself drawing your eyes to, especially in a more city-like scape?
Yeah, oh my gosh. It's really fun for me to work in this environment. It's so different from where I'm based in Flagstaff.
Yes,
So
it's more naturalistic.
it's a lot more naturalistic. So it's really cool for me to shoot in the desert at golden hour because those colors just really come alive.
Yeah.
And like especially when we get the really nice sunsets during monsoon season.
Love it.
And all of the desert color is beautiful down here. I do really love shooting downtown and in the city a little bit because I don't have as many of the tall buildings in
Yes.
Flagstaff,
Yes.
obviously. So it's a really cool atmosphere to get out and like see some of the murals downtown here and do some fun shoots that way. So that's a lot of fun.
What I find most like intriguing about the photography down here is the unique aspect of like the mural-based photography.
Yes, that's a lot of fun. I like to do a lot of senior shoots in that area because the colors really pop and the kids love it there.
Nice.
So it's a
Yes.
lot of fun.
Oh, you said senior, and I was thinking senior citizen.
no,
I was
sorry,
like, what
senior
a unique
senior
way
graduates.
of putting a senior next to a mural, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Hey, that would be cool
That would
though.
be
I mean,
cool.
that'd be an awesome shoot.
You know what? Because I've seen a couple of alternative, like, grandparents who like really are into streetwear clothing.
Yeah.
And it's so fun for me to see their like pastel colors, very bright,
Oh my
vibrant.
gosh, yes.
And it's like, you have so much life in you. You have so much like unique factors in your life, like to dress like this, to want to
Yes.
present yourself like this. This is so like, I was like, when I get older, I hope I can be 10%.
I know, that's so cool. They really get to showcase their personality through what they're wearing.
Yeah.
Oh man, now I got to schedule a shoot like that. That'd be so much fun.
Yes, very cool. And so, as you're expanding and as you're growing, I want to know what are some of the things that you're looking forward to as far as like goal reaching and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. I am also a licensed drone pilot.
I was just I was saving that for the later.
I know, I'm sorry.
No, it's so great that you brought it
Yeah,
up.
I wanted to bring it up because I do really enjoy that aspect too. I like getting a lot of landscape shots with that, and I sell prints that way.
What do you fly? What do you fly? What do you have?
Right now, I have a DJI Mavic 2 Pro. So,
It's the perfect.
Do you have one too?
Yeah, it's sitting over there in the back area,
Oh, that's
right there in the
awesome.
office. So
Yeah.
I pop it out every so often because it was a gift from my father.
oh,
and
how cool.
We're both into like robotics and drones and things like that.
Oh,
so he
that's
got
so
that for my
cool.
birthday, and I love it, and I can't wait to do more. We should go fly together.
That would be so much fun. I always need an excuse to get out there. It's hard to get out sometimes.
Yeah.
You're so busy and you really have to find a good place to go and do a lot of the airspace research. But yes, it's always fun. I love flying with other pilots. It's the same thing. It's fun to go out and explore and see new areas. So I'd love to.
And so flying from a drone is such a different view of landscape
It
and of
is.
the world. And
Yes.
it's so fun for me. Oh my gosh, you see so many different things, especially from treetops down, and like you see this like different world, sort of like the bird see.
Yes. Oh my gosh, it's so much fun. It's really cool to get some of those storytelling shots that way. Like if I do it with clients, I get all the close-up stuff with the camera on the ground, obviously.
Yeah.
And then you can take the drone and pan out and get some of that landscape behind them and really show the beauty of the area we're shooting, that's a passion of mine, is taking my clients out into these beautiful locations and showing it to them for the first time.
Yes.
So it's cool to get the full story that way because you really get a different perspective from the air versus on the ground, like you were
Yes.
saying. So you can really see the expanse of the area and just how much there is to explore in our state again.
Absolutely. And there's a different way of like looking at photography and videography too, because there's different angles that are just kind of like, so I met in my training and in my like, world of like, this is such a small, I went to go get some education on the drone, and I met the top, like he's the teacher for those who want to get licensed.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
I think he's like one of very few handful of people that you can go to.
Yeah, there's not a lot of people that do that. It doesn't seem like, so there's some key players like that, I guess I would say. So that's a great person to make a connection with.
Yeah, and he goes out and he's one of those guys that like, he's got the biggie, like the Inspire.
Oh yes, that's such a cool drone. Oh my gosh.
And it's like he busted it out at one of our little like sessions, and I was just like mouth drop. I was like, because he goes and he's like a photographer as well.
Yeah.
And so he goes out he works with like the state parks.
Oh, how cool.
And so he also does 3D scans. So he'll take the photos and try and do 3D
and like do
scans.
modeling and things.
3D modeling.
Oh gosh, that's what's cool about the technology. There's so many different uses for other than just photography and videography. Yeah. I used to work for an environmental consulting company actually too. So we were doing some vegetative health surveys and stuff.
Nice.
So yeah.
So I'm a landscape architect by trade.
Oh, okay.
And that's my day job and things like that. And so one of the things that we use for drone work is, there's so much you can do. It's grading, drainage. For landscape in particular, you can do some top-down shots and get some nice views of like trying to make sure what's the existing landscape and things like that.
Yeah, that's so cool.
I love it. I love that stuff because
man.
like
it's endless. There's so many possibilities with it, and
absolutely.
So many different businesses that can use it and organizations that can use it. It's just really cool learning all of it.
Yeah, and so one of the things that I love like seeing is how people attempt to try and use it in an artistic form. How do you take it to the next level, or how do you experiment with it? One of my favorite things, and I'll just tell you this about this, is I've seen people use it as like a normal camera, like in their hand,
have too,
and then they'll try and like turn it on and then let it go, and then continue the shot, the videography shot in the like movement. So they'll hold it to where they want it to be seen, and then they'll turn it on and then let it go, and then and that continues the shot all the way through.
Oh man, that is so awesome. I've seen some really cool videos that way too. There's just a lot of possibilities with it, like you were saying. So it's just endless. Yeah, I always love getting out to fly. It's hard to make the time sometimes is the biggest thing for me, but it's always worth getting out there to do. So.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. Yeah, we should schedule some time to fly together.
I would love to.
Next time you're in town, I'll show you some cool spots.
Oh, that would be awesome.
So let's get into a little bit of like how this photography for you, how you educate yourself and just kind of keep yourself ahead of the game.
Yeah, that's so important. Continuing education is such a big part of this industry, I would say, because you want to stay on the cutting edge, you want to learn new techniques, you want to make sure you're serving your clients as best as possible, and part of that is through the education.
Yeah.
So I'll go to like local meetups and just coordinate with other photographers, plan shoots, just get out and have fun a little bit. That's a great way to kind of stretch your creative side and do that kind of stuff.
That's good.
I'll still do some college classes if I see one I like occasionally. And then there's so many online courses now, honestly, that are great too. So if I see something that just looks like it'll help me improve or stretch me a little bit, make me think of it a little bit differently than maybe I have been, that's always worth doing.
Absolutely. So. Bayley, have you thought about doing maybe your own classes, like an online course?
I have a little bit. I haven't delved into it yet because I just want to find a different angle on it than other people have. Like,
absolutely.
I don't think there's very many drone classes, honestly. So that would be kind of a cool perspective to take. I mean, there's a lot on the licensing process and all of that, but not as much from the creative side, especially in like Arizona at least. So that'd be cool.
The creative side, and also like just learning that, because I can tell you that I would love to learn the controls and just getting that shot, like getting the right shot.
Yes.
And making sure your drone's shadow isn't in the way.
Exactly. All that little stuff people don't think about. So, I mean, you can edit stuff out, but like it takes time to like look at it from that perspective, like we were saying, and really get a good eye on it and a good handle on it. Because if you maneuver this way, you won't have that issue, for example.
Yeah.
You just have to think about where the positioning of the sun is and all of that.
Absolutely.
It's really cool. So
let me ask you this, because it's now become such a big, well, I feel like it's a big thing because I already know some of the things going on. The AI platforms and being integrated with Lightroom and all the other softwares. Have you delved into that, and how do you feel about the AI being a new part of the photography and videography world?
I haven't delved into it a ton yet, I'm going to be honest. I've used it a little bit for some editing. It does speed up the process. So I think photographers can really start to use these tools to streamline some of what we're already doing. And then, I mean, there are a lot of creative opportunities with it that look like they're going to be really cool. So if a client wants something specific and you work with them on getting that result and using the AI to help that, I think that's really cool. I do think there is something to be said, though, for still keeping images realistic and not going a little over the top on that. Do you know what I mean? Because I think there's a lot of value in the real world and like the real experience you're having. If you can use AI to enhance that, that's great. But I just think part of what clients are paying for is the experience with the photographer and just the experience with their friends and family, whoever they're shooting with. Like, the real memory is still really valuable, but you can always use AI to enhance the photos or anything like that. And there's nothing that says you can't have both in a gallery you deliver too. You can have the real moment and then something a little cooler if you're going to use the AI to really enhance something. But so I haven't really explored it yet.
No, it's totally fine.
But I think it's really cool to think of the possibilities and how it can really push us all creatively. I do think there's a lot to be said still for the skill of the photographer and the real experience, though, if that makes sense.
That totally makes sense. I get it, because for me, I'm like, I was taught, or at least what from my experiences is I always try and get as much of the photo in as possible and then go ahead and edit a little bit later. But even still, it's like there are some aspects of that AI where I'm just like, yes, because it's like you know, it wasn't the right color and you didn't notice it, or it's like whatever it may be, you can go in and just
tweak little things. You know what I think it is really great for is removing things from the background, like people in the background, like you just don't schedule at the right time. You don't have time to do a sunrise shoot where there's not as many people there. You do what you can, but then if there's like a distracting element in the background, the AI looks like it's really great at removing that. I did test that a little bit, and it's really cool. Instead of trying to hand brush and remove it yourself, it takes so much time, and I don't know that people always realize that because they're not seeing the back end work that all of us do. Stuff like that, I think is really great for it. Just helps kind of make that easier.
From like multiple hours of like brush work to just a few minutes.
And I mean, you still have to check it, like quality assurance. It may not be perfect, but it gets you a lot farther than just doing the hand editing. And then you can still fix it up as the professional. I think it is really cool for that.
I love that. And so as you try and make AI and your profession kind of blend together, you'll start to realize like it's okay. Like I can work around some noises that are, and I would love to pick at that a little bit. What is probably your, I guess, least favorite thing, or like what's the most embarrassing thing as a photographer, like embarrassing moment for you? Just because most people don't understand that there's things that you need to be aware of like, other people being in the shot, or like, let's say if you're doing an outdoor shot, natural disasters, rain, things like that. It's like, what's been like kind of a funny moment for
There's
you?
a lot you have to work with. On a very basic level, even just paying attention to things clients have on can make a huge difference to the photo. Like if they have a hair tie on their wrist, like that's something you want to be mindful of to ask them to remove. Sunglasses on their head if you don't want it for a certain effect in the shot. Like things like that. You have to be really mindful and just really watch your surroundings and what's going on in every situation.
Absolutely.
You want to watch where you're placing them. Like if there's a trash can right behind them, you might want to angle differently. Just like the stuff like that. It's all this little stuff that you really have to clock as you're out there on these sessions just to make the end result a lot more impactful, I guess I would say, and like save yourself the pain of having to edit stuff out. I don't know if that's really a funny or interesting story, but it's just stuff you have to think about, I guess.
And that's what I was trying to go for.
Yeah.
It's like, give us something that our listeners wouldn't really understand about the profession, or just kind of like not clock right away.
Some stuff that's really funny is when you're out there on these shoots with your clients, everyone's always really interested in what you're doing.
Yeah.
So people sometimes stop and be like, "Oh, are you a photographer? What are you doing?" In the middle of a shoot. So
you're like, nope, I just have this camera and I'm checking out birds.
It's great. People are interested, and it's nice to like explain what you're doing, and they're curious and they think it's cool, but you still have to keep your shoot moving, so you're kind of coordinating with a bunch of different people and distractions constantly. And it's the same with the drone stuff too, because if you're out there flying, people are super interested in that, so they always come up, they're like, "Oh, what are you doing? Oh, can I see what you're doing?" And it's really cool, and it's nice to show them, but you still have to be mindful. You have a drone in the air. Yep. You have to be safe and pay attention to what you're doing. So usually I'll just land it, talk to them, show them a little bit about what I was doing, and then go back up if I need to. And it's really cool to explain how the controls work and everything to people.
That's smart of you.
They're so funny, though. They get so excited about it, which is really cool to see, but it's hard when you're trying to work too. Yep. So you just kind of have to balance everything that way.
I'm the same way, where I was like, I'll tell you this, one of the drone shoots, or like I was practicing, and I was practicing in a park. And so these local runners were like going, and it was beautiful.
Oh,
they were running along the desert trail.
Oh gosh, that's so cool.
I was trying to, I was getting photos and video of them. And then I guess a couple of them came back because they realized that there was a drone.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, "What are you doing?" Like, they ran all the way back from their run. Gosh. And I'm like, how did you do that so fast? I mean, I was very surprised that they came back so fast.
Yeah, I know.
But the second part was like, I'm shooting you guys. I'm sorry, but I was practicing, and essentially they're like, "Oh, that's fine, but we just wanted to check it out." And
that's awesome. It's really nice. Sometimes you make connections with people that way, and if you got a cool shot of them running, just give it to them. Why not? It's really cool. It's good for their portfolio if they're professional runners or anything like that.
I gave it to them. They were high school kids, and they were like, "Can we have it?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course. Let me grab my phone and I'll send it to you guys." Oh, that's so awesome. It was really cool. That whole experience, again, like you said, there's an interaction that they just kind of what is that? And then you kind of just explain a little bit more.
It's really important to kind of help educate people too, because some people are still really nervous about them, which I completely understand. Yes. I mean, it's something flying around, you don't know what the person's doing, all of that, but it's cool to show them what you're using it for, the type of shots you're getting. It really engages people, and it really excites them, I guess I would say. Maybe they'll get interested in it enough to start looking at it themselves, and just more people.
It's so unique.
Yeah, I think it's still really exciting. I mean, more and more people are doing it constantly, but there's still enough people out in the daily world that haven't ever seen one before even. So it's really cool for them to see and just kind of look at the different parts of it. Absolutely. I love those interactions.
Me too. And one of the also unique factors is I don't know if you've ever come across this on your end, is just kind of the exploration now leads to unique experience in the sense of saving lives. I heard the story of an individual flying after a storm, and there was a sinkhole. It was in Texas, but there's a sinkhole, and it was people couldn't, the road was closed because the storm was going on. Mm-hmm. So there was no one really on the road, but the way that the sinkhole, where it was at, no one could see that there was a truck that flipped over, and there was 2 60-year-olds inside that truck. Oh my gosh. And the boy saved them by calling emergency services. That's amazing. But they wouldn't have been saved. The water was filling up in the sinkhole, but they wouldn't have been saved if he wasn't flying his drone out there. And seeing
it, just right place, right time. Exactly. Yeah, that's amazing.
I don't know if you've ever experienced
No, I've never had anything like that. I've heard a lot of news stories that way, and it is really cool seeing how our first responders use it for search and rescue and things like that too. There's a lot of really cool uses for it that I think people don't always realize. So just the more people educate themselves about that and see it being used, it just pushes the technology to get even better too. Absolutely. So it's awesome.
Are you looking to get your professional license to get an Inspire, the big the big drone?
Eventually, maybe. Yeah. I mean, I have my license now, but I'm comfortable with just the smaller stuff. I mean, it's for what I need it for, really. Absolutely. I'm not doing movie making or anything where you would need the Inspire, although it would be really cool to have and just kind of push that boundary with what your own drone can do currently. The Mavic 2 is really awesome. It does a great job, but it'd be really interesting to fly the other one just to see the differences in quality and all of that. Like, it's always so cool.
I was just like, if I'm getting my hands on the Inspire, I'm doing like one of those movie chase scenes, like the car chase scenes.
That would be so cool.
In the desert. That's what the first thing I'm doing. It's like, grab 2 vehicles, we're doing a chase scene.
Well, if you do it, call me so I can see.
Yes,
not very many people have that one, so that'll be awesome to see.
We're reaching the end here, so we leave it to you to kind of give us some goals to put out into the world or the universe so that our listeners can maybe help you down the road. But if there's something that you hope to achieve with your business, please let us know right now.
Yeah, I would love to talk about that a little bit. So I, with my client experience, really focus on education for my clients to make sure they're well prepared for photo shoots.
Nice.
So I have a lot of great resources for clients. I have a style guide and a client experience guide I send to all of my clients. Just, I feel like you need to be very mindful of the fact that some of your clients aren't always used to doing photo shoots.
Absolutely.
So I start from that perspective and just give them all of the things they need to know to get ready.
Very cool.
Everything they need to think about.
I hope we did a good job.
Yes, you did a great job. You guys were so easy to work with. You have such a beautiful family.
Thank you.
So I love educating clients, but as part of that, I do always love working with other photographers, other makeup artists, everything like that, models too, because I always try to enhance that guide further. So I like making those connections with those other local experts and kind of learn from each other and just see if there's anything else we can do to help streamline that client experience from my perspective.
Yeah.
Just learning from others and working with others just to really enhance that experience for my clients.
I
So
love that.
any local makeup artists or models, if you ever want to work together, hit me up, because I always love kind of pushing that boundary, learning more, working with different people, and it's great to get new content to constantly enhance that guide for my
sure.
clients.
I think as the years or as it progresses along, you'll start to see and develop your own style, and of course, you'll have that Rolodex of professionals.
Yes.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah, I do have a lot of go-tos, but it's always great making more connections with people and learning from other local artists. And like, clients have different tastes and people they might like to work with, so it's great to have a good variety of professionals like that to recommend to them too. So it's great making those connections.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for joining us
Yes,
and being a part of
thank
this.
you so much for having me. This was so much fun. Thanks for making my first podcast really easy and nice. So you guys are great.
Yes. Before you go, please let everyone know where they can find you online, your social media handles. This is your time to promote yourself. Go right ahead.
Thank you. So my website is BayleyJordanPhotography.com. And then my Facebook and Instagram accounts are at Bayley Jordan Photography.
Awesome. And before we go, ladies and gentlemen, as always, we have our own little outro. You can hear our episodes at findingarizonapodcast.com. We make it easy for you guys to connect with us on social media, Finding Arizona Podcast under everything. And last but not least, we always say kisses, hugs, and belly rubs to our four-legged friends, and we will see you next time. But before we go, can you do me a little bit of a favor?
Yeah.
Will you say you're listening to Finding Arizona Podcast so we can use that as an outro?
Yes, of course. You're listening to Finding Arizona Podcast.
All right. We'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.